All right, and we are recording. Welcome to Astrology Study Group. It never fails. I always just say when you hit the record button, then you got to itch or do something that's out of sorts. It's always funny. So anyway, today I want to do part two of, I guess part two. I just want to put more practical. We went through all of those. I know that the lighting is kind of like bloop, bloop. The lighting here. We went through those ways, and I just wanted to give you some. Lots of people give you lots of things, but I like to make it simple, pragmatic. You get a good looky-see at a chart or a reading, and it could be any chart, a natal chart, a daily chart. You're just kind of getting an idea of what everything is. But we're going to apply those things. We're going to just go look at a chart, and then, I'll probably switch back and forth, screens, or I'll just state the ones that we're going to do. We'll look at that list real quick. And I think everybody got it emailed. I'll have to get a way to put a link on it. But if you don't have it, let me know. You can email me or whatever, and I'll send you that. So without any further ado, I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to go look at Micki's chart to start with. All right. So we're just going to look at this a second, and then we're going to go look at our list. Let me make this bigger. All right. Let me move me out of there. Okay, so here's a chart we have, and one of the first things that I want you just to, before you even set on a list, okay, I want to give you, I want to teach you to fish rather than give you the fish. I want to teach you the recipe and have you be able to substitute things and not just totally follow it. So you've got something, because you could always have that check sheet for a while. So I want you just to look at the chart and not get intimidated by it, and then just kind of look all around. Just don't zone in on anything yet. Just look all around. Your internet connection is unstable. Uh-oh. I hope you're still hearing me and everything's good.
Yeah, you cut out there for a second when you first started talking.
Okay. All right. So so looking at the chart, the first thing I like to do is just get an idea, just get a sense of it, just get an idea and see where everything is. It's like, all right, this one. I see things are kind of around, they're fairly spread out. I'm almost seeing it like an X, I got stuff on, cross like that. I'm seeing a little bit more emphasis on the left side of the chart. And then if you go left to right, and then if you go up to down, top to bottom, you're seeing a little bit more stuff on the top. Okay. It's just not even zone in and on it where anything is or any of that. You're just kind of looking at the where things are, and this is a good birth time, so I know that that our ascendant is good. So that might be, I might start over there and go, oh, okay, Libra rising, and then I might go, oh, where's the sun? Sun's in Virgo. Okay, and then we got a few other things there in Virgo and Libra, so we got a little cluster there of Virgo Libra stuff there, and a little late Leo, because there's, the sun is there, Mercury's there. It's like, okay, got that. I'm not going to make too much in my mind, but I'm going to know that there may be, with all of this stuff here in Virgo, we got the sun, that person's persona. We have Venus real close to it. It's like, oh, I'm almost kind of seeing a conjunction there. I mean, it is a conjunction, a little bit wide conjunction, but still it's 3 degrees. And then I'm seeing Pluto there. So, I mean, my mind's already telling me some things, but without jumping in on micro, I'm just going to go, wow, there's a little bit of a Virgo presence, and I'm seeing one of the inner planets, Venus, and an outer planet there. So I'm not going to judge too much and start reading. I'm just going to notice that. It's like, okay, so we got an inner planet, the Venus there with the sun. That's kind of nice. That might soften that, that the nitpickiness or the intensity that Venus, that Virgo is. Venus being there might offset it a little bit, but we'll look at that all later. So my mind is just seeing a little bit of that. And then I'm looking there, and the one thing that kind of jumps out at me right away is Uranus right there on the ascendant. Even though it's in Virgo, I mean, it's there right at the 12th house. So I would always kind of want to make sure that this is a real accurate birth time, but that's pretty interesting, whether that Uranus is truly in the 12th house or the first house influence. I guess by getting to know that person, I might see that more, but that sticks out to me because anything right on the ascendant, I think, is going to be significant. So I'm going to kind of look at that. And that's because that's that person's mask to the world. So there's going to be something unusual, outer worldly, avant-garde, out of the box, you know, I mean, looking outside of the box, a different perspective, but it's going to kind of come in from the back door. If I'm going to assume that it's the 12th house, I'm going to say it's not like in your face, like if it were in the first house. My husband has that in the first house. And he's a bit like, sometimes it's like right there. It's like real abrupt, you know, or a real, it's like there on his personality, you know, that you're at. It's just something unusual or out of the box. Whoa, you know. Okay. Okay. So I see that because it's right on the ascendant, and the ascendant is important, you know, if you can find it. Otherwise, you look for things like on the other angles, and I'm not seeing anything on the midheaven. I'm not seeing anything right on the descendant or right on the bottom of the chart. All right, just note that. All right, so now I'm just gonna kind of look around, and then I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. I kind of got that, you know, so I got, okay, I'm gonna look at the sun sign, and then I'm gonna maybe look at, now that I kind of looked at that, I might go take a little piece of paper and tally up maybe the elements and the aspects. So I might, you know, I have made these, you know, and then just photocopied. You just write all this, you know, like the sun, the moon, all the way down one side, and then you just write the sign, and then you would just write out yeah, I think we did this in another one, but just I'll walk you through the first part of it. So if I either write the glyph for the sun or write the sun, and then I'm going to write maybe Virgo, and then I'm going to put, I'll show you this in just a second. I would maybe put, I know it's mutable, so maybe I'll put Mutt, and then I know it is an earth, so I put maybe E. And there, you just make a little thing like that so that you can just tally them up. You know, then we go to the next one, the moon. We'll go look over at the moon, and then we see that that's Taurus, and then we know that that is a fixed sign and that it is an earth. It's like, okay. And then we're gonna go, I like to go out from the sun, just it makes sense. So you're not like, you know, trying to go all the way around the chart. Because if you started on somebody's chart and you just started like at their sun and you're going to go one way or the other, oh, you could do that too. But for me, it just makes sense to do that. And if you had some way that's kind of uniform, that would work better. All right. So Mercury, she's got Mercury in Leo, and we know Leo is a fixed sign, and it's a fire sign, fixed fire. Okay. And then we know that Venus is next. So Venus was next to the sun. That one is also in Virgo. Make my Virgo sign. Okay, so we also have a mutable Earth. And then we have Mars, and I see Mars down there in Aquarius. And then we know that is a fixed air sign. And if I say anything wrong, catch me. Sometimes if I'm writing and doing something, I might misspeak, but it would be testing you. Okay, so then we have Jupiter. Jupiter's down over there in the second house, and I see that in Scorpio, and that's a fixed water. Okay, I was wondering when we were going to get some water. Water. Speaking of that, I think I'm going to take a drink of water. Okay, hydrate. Usually hydrate. Saturn, up there over in Gemini, and I have got another. I got a mutable, and I've got an air. All right, and then what do we got? Uranus. And we said that's it's over there in Libra, and that is a cardinal sign. It's our first cardinal one, and it's an air. We also have our ascendant, which we'll look at in a second. Should have wrote smaller. Okay, then we have Neptune, and Neptune's in Sag, and we have a mutable fire, and then we have Pluto over there in Virgo, and then we have our mutable Earth, and then we have our ascendant in Libra, and we know that's a cardinal, and it's air. All right, so got them all down. So let's look at all the qualities. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 fixed, and then we've got 2 cardinal, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mutable. 5 mutable. So right away we're going to just circle mutable. That's the one that's more of. And then let's look at the rest. Let's look at the elements. We got 1, 2, 3 earth. Right. Oh, I didn't go down to the bottom. Maybe I didn't do it all the way right. Hold on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I got that. And then 1, 2. Okay, so earth, 1, 2, 3, four earth. I have to do 2 pages here. Fire, 1, 2 fires. Air, 1, 2, 3, 4 air. And what do we got? 1 water. All right, so we got an earth and an air, but let's see what the tiebreaker would be. So we've got air on our ascendant. So because that's a big part of his personality, I would go a little heavier on the air on that. So if I wanted to, we're going to look at this 2 ways. So mutable air is what? Anybody have any ideas? Remember what mutable air?
I would think that I can see both sides to an issue, or
Yeah.
flip flop kind of around, and which is true. I do. I can look at all different viewpoints and see where they're coming from.
So you're that kind of is a little stronger, but then you have to look at, then your earth is really strong though. So your practicalness would kind of maybe butt up against that a little bit, or that's where that would be like, okay, well, it's got to be practical about this now.
Yeah.
So of the air signs, we've got Gemini, which I'm not thinking right. So Gemini, and then say air, we've got Libra, and then we've got Aquarius. So the mutable one is Gemini, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got some hidden Gemini kind of tendencies, kind of underneath that, because although we have all this Virgo and we know we've got some of this, so we've got, because you're heavy mutable and heavy air, that kind of gives you that little bit of a Gemini. So you have a lot of interests, or you have communicative skills, or like to share ideas. You're kind of an underneath Gemini.
Yeah.
You do several kinds of artwork. You've got interest in a lot of things. So that's why looking at that is kind of cool. You look at the hidden side of somebody, which is really underneath the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but that kind of goes, that jives. You got that airiness, like you said. You're kind of it makes you get a lot of ideas, but then it kind of balances that earthiness, because you got that extreme practicalness, which can be stuck. You got your sun, Venus, and Pluto all there in earth signs, and you got your moon in an earth sign.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be kind of stubborn and stuck. So sometimes, so that airiness is a good thing. And I think looking at this too, then now at everything else, I'm going to look at those areas and go, well, where's the mind? Where, because we've got some mental stuff here with Gemini, so I'm going to then go, well, where is that person's Mercury? And it's over there in Leo. That's cool, because now we got some fire in with this mix. It's not just, it's just not this solid thing. We've got some fire, we've got that other element. So that gives that fire there in the mind would then lend itself to that kind of, because Mercury rules Gemini, right? It's the ruler of Gemini. So if we've got some fire there, that's going to lend itself to that kind of hidden Gemini side of yourself, and that other Aries side. It's going to give it some manifestation. It's like, it's not going to be just, well, it's going to be hot air, but it's going to be fun, fun air kind of. You've got the grounding already with your personality, with the sun and Venus there.
Mm-hmm.
You got that grounding, but then you've got the inspiration and those ideas, and and you act on it, with the fire sign there, and it's fixed, so it acts on things. And it's nice to have some of that fixed sign there. You've got some of that fixed element in your chart too. What would you have, 4 fixed signs?
I think so.
Which gives you some follow through, with all the mutable stuff. You've got 5 mutable things. It's good to have some fixed qualities so you get things done, because otherwise it's just all about ideas, and then the cardinal signs is all like a new thing. So if you're stuck with cardinal, mutable, and no fixed things, you're just all about ideas and air. So this is a pretty nice balance, that you've got enough fixed energy, to ground that. See, and then I think the moon there, over there in Taurus, is that grounding emotions. It's very compatible. It's a trine over there to all that Virgo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to lend some real nice aspects to that because it's in trine. So now we're going to widen out a little bit and start looking at these relationships. Okay, so I was just going over stuff. So now I'm going to notice how these things relate. So now we're picking out certain things. We're noticing this little grouping here of this earth energy. And then we're going to go over here and say, oh, well, we got this. It's like, but nothing is exact, but we still have this nice earth trine here. And then let's look on the bottom. Do we see anything else? Earth, there's no other earth down there. There, okay. Now let's look at degrees of stuff. Let's see if anything, I mean, this is a moon node, Mars next to the north node. We'll do a whole thing on nodes. I don't want to get off on that now because I didn't put the south node in, but anyway, besides that, let's just look at anything around the same degree. Well, I got 0 and a 2, so we're going to kind of look at that, and that's an inconjunct. So we've got a little bit of a, we can start into like the aspect geeky kind of stuff now. So we've got this way we might want to note because it's 2 degrees apart, it's within 2 degrees, Neptune and the moon. Probably gives you some interests in things behind the scene, finding out, like being investigative. What am I thinking? Like the paranormal.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do have a fascination with topics that are not your typical conversation day to day. I'm fascinated with how energy, paranormal, what they call paranormal, and spirit works, behind the scenes to create what we call reality.
Yeah, yeah. And then with you, with this in the second house and the seventh house, it's like you like others' point of view, or to converse this with others, and maybe it may be a source of income for you too. I mean, it's kind of a weird, the second house, but the seventh, it's like it could be collecting money for your intuitive skills, sharing with others on that level, or caring for others on that, but it's in the second house of money, and it's that Neptunian, maybe things behind the scenes. And then it's sitting here right next to Jupiter too. So that's a nice, I mean, that's just, they're real close there, barely 2 degrees away also, 29, 30, yeah, it's 1 degree away. So you could do big things intuitively, intuitive big things, or how else can we put that? You can show things behind the scenes in a large way with others, and then you've got your emotions there. So it would be people would be safe because it's like the moon there. If Mars were here, it would be combative, but the moon is there, so people feel comfortable with you. And then all this Virgo stuff gives you that mental nitpickiness to do a good job.
Yeah, I'm hardest on myself.
Yeah. I mean, that Virgo stuff, and see, because you got, Venus right there. It's like the sun can kind of burn out Venus a little bit. So you might have to just, watch that's not too strong, the runaway mind, analyzing, categorizing, putting, lists, that you got to have that. I think that's where you can maybe recluse in your art, where it kind of gives you maybe some timelessness, or, that's that emotional satisfaction that gets away from that mind, because your mind is driven there. You got that, Mercury, or Leo is a pretty driven sign. It's fixed and it's out there and it's banging away. So I think retreating into creature comforts, glass of wine in the bathtub, with some dark, or something, playing bass or something like that is kind of some nice solace for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so other degrees. So we've got here, so then we've got those 2, and then 1, 2, let's see what else, other degrees. Another one that's big here, looking, I'm like 29 and 28 and 29, but those are only 1 sign apart. So those are kind of like neighbors. So Pluto here, they didn't talk a whole lot about Pluto. You know, Pluto is like right at the edge of Virgo, and Pluto's about transformations. But Mercury over here is its nearest neighbor. Um, a little bit. This is kind of cool because we got this in the 12th house, of secrets, and it's funny that you've got your Sun here in the 11th, and then you've got all this stuff here in the 12th house. So here's some more stuff showing you behind the scenes. Some of the stuff that you might like to do. Metaphysical. This is also transforming things in the metaphysical world, bringing forth breakthroughs. And you like to do it because Venus is there and you can get paid for it. So I'm seeing that this is, because we got some of that tie in with the Neptune thing, but then we got all this in the 12th house, which is that behind the scenes, metaphysical, tarot, astrology, why things work, behind the scenes. So we've got a Pluto there, which is definitely making you look at transforming or turning stuff inside out. Then we got that Venus there, that what you like. And then we've got that disruptor Uranus, which is just like bringing stuff out of the blue. This can be like, God, I never thought about that. Thank you. Wow. How did you see that? That's that little electric quality there. All right. So looking for ties, other things tying this up, looking for big angles here. So anything in the middle degrees, I got an 11 and a 12. Okay, those are pretty close. And then let's see what they're apart. We've got an air sign and an air sign. Okay, so Mars and Uranus. Oh, so whoop, Mars and Aquarius, Mars and Uranus. So we've got Mars here. It's like a 1 degree aspect. So that's that energy, and you've got it here in Aquarius. That's the thoughts. And then Aquarius, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, or at least in the modern. So that's very interesting. Because that's ruler, and then this one is. So there's a little bit of back and forthness here. It's a nice little trine. So what would that mean? Mars and then Uranus. It would give that energy. It's like a trine is going to flow that. So you can get really sudden breakthroughs. Let me put it that way. I think I was reading on your site that you had like some out of body experiences.
Yeah, my colorful landscapes are based on, or I should say inspired by the out of body experience I had back in 2001. I'm trying to kind of mimic the feel of the energy and the visual vibrancy I saw during that experience.
I think that's kind of inherent in maybe in your personality, in your life, those things that throughout the time, that energy, that Mars, and then that, I don't just like something gave that energy of like, you just came up with it. Boom. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, it did kind of smack me, out of the blue.
But that's like, if you tap into it, that's there with you.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes your energy, it's like, it's like, I don't know where I'm going to go with this. So if you just sit, then it's just something out of the blue, kind of like in the background, because it's there in a 12th house. You might get it in a dream, a vision, a reading, that suddenly comes that way because it's like behind the scenes. So, and that's a close thing to you. That's a real close aspect. That's a big one in your chart. That's one of the biggest ones because it's one of the closest ones. It's 1 degree away, right?
Yeah.
And that's a nice trine. It's a nice trine. Yeah. So those are the big things, that you start seeing, and then you start looking, going at those patterns. We've talked about them. Is there a bucket pattern, a seesaw pattern, a grand trine, a cross? Is there, it's like, what types of patterns do we have? And then what types of aspects? All right. So I look at those. And then the other thing that would just be nice to know, like with people, is the way things roll around it's like, say every month the moon goes through a sign, and so it's going to go through all the signs, every month. It's like 2.5 days it goes through a sign, and next to it it's in another one. So it takes 1 month and it's going to go through the whole zodiac. So my point is, those will hit certain things with you. So let's just say like it starts out in Aries. Let's just state that. Okay. So we know that when something is going to then move into Taurus for you, it's like you get a direct conjunction, or it hits your moon. Okay, and then let's see, then it might do an inconjunct to your Neptune here, right at that 0 degrees. So you get like maybe a strange Neptune thing, and then it hits your moon. And then let's see, what would be next? So we got 0, 2, and then 6 degrees. Okay, then it's going to make some kind of aspect to your Saturn. So I'm just taking, I'm going to try to follow me on this, because it just, whatever degree of the sign it's going to do, depending on the sign, it's going to resonate. But I just want to note the degrees. Okay, so you got a 0, a 2, and a 6, and then nothing until 11, and then you get up 2 quick ones, boom, boom, 11, 12, and then nothing, and then a 15, and then an 18, and then nothing. You go through the rest of it until the end of the numbers, 29 or 28, 29, boom, and then we start again at 0. Everybody's got their little pattern of when things hit. It's like in my chart, I've got like 3 or 4 things at 6 degrees. So 6 degrees of something for me, it depends on what it is going to hit on a lot of my planets and make different aspects depending on where it is, of course. But that's going to be a big bing. But because I have like 4 things there, then there's not a lot of other numbers. And then there might be like bing, bing, nothing, bing, bing. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I think so.
Looking at
Yeah, there's like clusters of degrees followed, between the spaces, but they're the ones when they are together, they're similar.
Yeah. So it's like whenever anything hits 0 degrees, no matter what, it's going to do something to your Neptune.
Mm.
If it's 0 degrees Sag, it's going to conjunct your Neptune. If it's 0 degrees Aries, something, it's going to trine your Neptune.
Mm.
If it's 0 degrees Gemini, it's going to oppose your Neptune. See,
Okay.
So, so it's going to, no matter what, somewhere at whatever 0 of whatever it is that's going on, is going to make some aspect to your Neptune.
Okay.
If it's the moon, it's going to be like maybe you're going to get intuitive thoughts or feelings. If it's, say, Mercury making an aspect, you'll get maybe thoughts, instead of emotions. If it's Mars, it may be more energy or anger or drive with that.
Okay.
Yada, yada, yada. And then the same thing at 2 degrees. 2 degrees is the next thing that's going to trigger something in your chart. And for you, 2 degrees, anything that's hitting somewhere at 2 is going to hit on your moon, which will make something in your emotions.
Okay.
So if it's hitting, say the moon is coming around and the moon is going to conjunct your moon, like maybe every month when the moon is at 2 degrees Taurus, it resonates with your moon, and you eat chocolate on that day, or something. You're just like, oh, I gotta have it. It's like it's gonna make me feel stable and safe and secure. Yeah. And you'll notice that it's always at that time, or whatever, or whatever. And then the next come around is a 6 degree thing. It's like, and then it hits others. And then depending on what it is, the planet and where is what aspects it makes. I just want to pass that along for you. I mean, for all of us, like every month or whenever, even in the year, like the sun is moving around, so like when the sun is over in Taurus, you're a Virgo, but when the sun is in Taurus, it's going to be affecting your moon, like right there. So that month, especially right when it moves into Taurus, when is it, like April 20th or 21st? That day exactly the sun will be right on your moon every year, right on your calendar. You know what I mean? It's like those certain days, trigger stuff every year. All right, so chart reading. All right, now let me, I want to just stop that share and then go look at this. And then we'll just move that. Okay, so again, we looked some of this like the sun sign, we looked at the moon sign, we noted that, we looked at the Mercury, her mind, we looked at Venus. We did say, yep, we got an accurate birth time, so we know the rising. We did a tally of the qualities and signs. We kind of got an idea of the basic shape. We looked a little bit to see if there's any patterns that jumped out at us. We noted some of the planets, like if they were, was any of them on the ascendant or on the descendant or on the midheaven, were they conjunct at one of those angles? Or was, which planet was it, the sun or any inner planets, and then we looked at the degrees. Yay! We ticked off all those. Okay. All right. Make sense? Any questions on that? Okay. All right, let's just go look at another, and then I want to, I don't know if we'll get to it. We'll see. Okay, let's share and let's look at another. I guess I can go and let me just see if I can switch it. Let's look at, who was I bringing? All right. Can you see this? Can you see who this is? It's Tom Brady.
Yes.
Everybody see that? Okay, good. Since he's in the news right now, or in everybody's, or people that I'm not into football right now, but I guess that's a big thing. I used to be. It's just a waste of time for me. But anyway, I can appreciate it. But nonetheless, let's just look at his chart because he's interesting chart here. So we're gonna look around and we just get a little notice. He's got a lot of stuff on the upper side and a lot of stuff on the left. So he's, the stuff on the upper about his career, and then on the left about him. Well, okay, that makes sense. All right. He's got a sun and Saturn right there in Leo in his 10th house. Well, that's kind of career driven. But interesting, it's like, I would have expected to see something right there at the top of his chart, right there. But no, well, we'll see it in other ways. But, sometimes you think, God, what a big key player. Anyway, as far as I know, this is a good birth time. So he's got a Libra rising. Now that would be interesting for a quarterback. He's got to consider everybody and others. So his mind is like making everybody happy, and that's like, I think that's a really good, maybe that's one reason why he's a successful quarterback, because he sees his whole line has got to be right there. So they keep him protected. He's got to keep, the thing coordinated. He's got to look and balance everything. This is like the general on the field. So that's maybe really interesting. I haven't looked at many quarterbacks in their charts. That might be a fun project sometime a few years from now. But anyway, to see this, like the rising signs and all that. But that's interesting. A quarterback, a sun in Leo, that's definitely a commander. Come on, guys, I got it. That's definitely an out there personality. So good. And then Saturn being there, it's not conjunct it. It's like 8 degrees away. Saturn up there, I'm just seeing it, just some of the stuff popping out real quick. Would give it some discipline, because Leo can get a little, I want to do it my way. I want to just have fun. And this is kind of Saturn's like, well, no. Okay, anyway. So yeah, those are some big things I see there, that Leo. Okay, so, and then the ascendant there, but this little clustered Pluto right there. And then I just have to point out the North Node is right there on his ascendant. And that's what he's going to do in life. And it's right there. So what he's going to do in life is all about him. It's like right there on his ascendant. It is about him. So that's interesting. It's really more than his career. Because he's such a good quarterback, I guess. And he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. All right, let's go on and look around at other things. I'm not going to take the time to tally all him up and everything, but but I just wanted to go through it. But just let's kind of look at this. I'll just see if we can just see some things here. I can see one. We got the 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 4 planets in a fire sign, and then I'm seeing all 3 of the fire signs. So I'm wondering if we got a grand fire trine. Well, we do definitely by the element. We got Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. We got down on the bottom, you'll see Neptune and Sagittarius. So by element, we've got a grand fire trine. Well, now isn't that interesting? That would kind of make sense that he's ambitious, popular, good, enthusiastic. He's been on top on his game. Grand fire trine. Come on. All right, so I'm seeing that. What else jumps out at me? Let's just kind of assess some of the other planets, see what he's got here. We've got air with the rising and the Pluto. We've got air with Jupiter and Mars. Air, nothing in Aquarius. Okay, so there's a couple air things. So we've got some trines there. Oh, here, I'm seeing them now, and it just pops out at me because I'm thinking air, air. But looky here, we've got Pluto at 11 degrees, and then we got Mars at 11 degrees. So he's driven. He's driven. I mean, this is definitely some driven energy. Mars and Pluto, those two planets, are the great, malefics, but they're they're in they're in a nice aspect, and they're in nice signs. So it's like it's a nice driven. He's not, at least looking at it this way, unless I talk to him, so I really don't know. But it's like he's not an asshole, kind of driven. Some people are so driven that they just ride right over you. They don't consider you. But this, because of this, we got this Libra here. I'm seeing some consideration, and then Mars is in a nice sign too. And Mars, this is interesting too, being in a dual sign in Gemini. That would make sense, kind of as a quarterback, that driven. I mean, he's got to think two things. His energy, he's got to think. He's got to think scoring, in people and me and them and all that, and not get killed. Because the other people definitely want to hurt you, hurt the quarterback. And the fact that he's is like 40 some years old. How old is he here? 77. Do the math. But anyway, he's not a young chicken here. Okay, what else do I see here? So we have sun. Let's say things conjunct the angle. We talked about the sun and the moon. Oh no, look at here. We just kind of mentioned the grand trine, but we didn't really harangue on it. The moon in Aries. Look at that. I mean, he is just emotionally hot. And it's in the 6th house of work. So he's emotionally driven to work. He wants to show up at practice every day, and he doesn't seem like he's got a temper, but but this is going to show that he's got a temper. He may learn to control it, but Mars in Aries, the moon in Aries, that's definitely temper. But it may, because it's in the 6th house and he's got Saturn here next to the sun. I don't know. He may control a little bit, because he got that trine over here. It's a wide trine. I'd have to explore him. I'd have to listen to him or go read about him or something. But anyway, what else do we got here? One water sign, right? No, two. We've got two things in water. We've got Venus. Venus in Cancer. That's really nice. So he's probably a little romantic, or he's kind. He's probably a kind or caring man, being that it's Venus, that emotional side, and then it's in Cancer, and then it's over here, a kind of a wide trine over here to Uranus. So kind of could be some pulling some stuff out of the hat, little unexpected things. 1st house, 9th house. He's probably got a nice wife, pretty wife. Venus there in Cancer. Maybe she's on stage too, being close to the top of the chart. Anyway, what else do we got here? What do we have? So say we got Earth. Is this the only Earth? Mercury? Yeah. Okay, so maybe a little lack of grounding, but we'd have to look and see what houses they're on. Just looking at the planets. I'm not, it's like we got something in the 2nd house. That's an Earth house. The 6th house, another Earth house. 10th house. No, there's plenty of grounding. It's like it's kind of deceptive. So sometimes you go, oh, you don't have much Earth. But then you got a bunch of stuff in the Earth houses. So this is what sometimes you have to talk to an astrologer, somebody that's kind of compares a lot of the stuff. So no, there's Earth quality, but it's not apparent. It's not like right up there. But yeah, that's kind of balanced. I think he's pretty balanced. He's got a really interesting chart. He's pretty spread out here. I think we said that's a splay pattern. We just, everything is pretty well spread out, but it's not so spread out that he's scattered. We've got some focus there. But yet there's a little wide spot here. So communications, siblings, his home, and it's funny here that there's nothing in his 5th house. So he is kind of his own creation. But then interesting, this is the empty part of his chart. So maybe he's not home a lot, and he's not maybe have a lot of time with his kids or children. His interest is him. All right, that's one. Okay, how much time we got? Let's look at that. little bit. Let's do another one. Oh, let's look at this guy. Uh, all right. Try not to be too opinionated here. But look at the focus of this chart. I mean, first thing that I'm seeing here, and I got a good birth time. That's what they say, 10 o'clock, if that's true. So he's your Cancer rising. So I think he comes on like real nice, but then he'll stab you in the back. He comes on like real unassuming and real caring and everything. So this is, to me, real deceptive. And I'll try to show you where in a few different ways. All right. But anyway, we got an interesting, tight pattern here. And this moon node, we got to just ignore this over here. So it's kind of a tight pattern here. What do we call this? We have something breaking out of this, a bowl, or a wedge, but then we've got that moon up here. It could be the fan or the bucket, how do you want to say it? The fan is a little tighter. So we've got the fan. So what do we got here? We've got a bunch of stuff, a big cluster of stuff here in Leo. I've seen a big cluster of stuff on the bottom and then there's a little bit on top. So he's, most of the stuff here is on the bottom. Other than the moon, it's like he's working really hard behind the scenes. So I mean, what is he? He's a computer geek. Whoa, it's about as behind the scenes as you get. And then we've got, like, if we did our cross this way, then he's definitely more on the right hand side of the chart. More working toward others. But he's got this interesting Uranus in the first house. So he's, this is like stuff out of the ordinary that he comes up with. Okay. All right. The next thing I'm seeing here. Okay, we've got this little group here. Well, let me just move on. Well, this is popping out. So these two things are just right next to each other. We've got Pluto and Jupiter here, 1 degree apart in Leo. So this is when we had a Pluto-Jupiter conjunction. He was born during that time. And then, so to me, that's like big transform. Okay, it's in the second house. So we've got big transformations or money. What he's going to do is going to transform people in a huge way, and he's going to get paid for it. We got somebody here, maybe. I'm not sure. Let me just see. We get there. Bear with me. Maybe not. Okay. No. All right. Anyway. Okay, so back to Bill. Sorry, I was sidetracked. All right, so he's got a little grouping of this fire energy. We've got a little grouping of all this stuff here in Libra. He's got his sun over here in Scorpio, and then he's got a Venus in Scorpio, and it's conjunct Saturn. So Venus conjunct Saturn. This is like the guy in high school that nobody likes. This is the geek, the dweeb that nobody likes, and then he gets revenge upon later, kind of thing. Oh boy, look at that stuff. It's in his 5th house of creation. So it's not about him. It's his creations. Look at this stuff is in the 2nd house. His life is all about his creations. So we got the 2nd, 5th house thing going on. All right, but look at that Venus right there with Saturn conjunction. That is just icky. That's just creepy. Because that is, Venus is not happy there. I mean, it's kind of deep and deceptive being in Scorpio anyway, and then this is just like Creepsville. And then, the sun, and okay, sun's in his 4th house. So that's like behind the scenes, at home, in the dark. All right, so I'm seeing that right away. Let's move on. Okay, so a little cluster of Scorpio, a little cluster of those, and then we got that moon breaking away. So what don't we have? We got one water because he's just a rising sign as water. And then we got the Scorpio water. And then we've got fire. And we got air. So what we're missing here is earth. He can't relate to the common person. He is not down to earth. His ideas are out there, and interesting though that his business was with computers, which is very practical. So second house is earth, sixth house is earth, nothing there, but we just got this there, and we got the moon up here. So we do have some things in earth houses with him, but it's kind of we got the moon up here. It's sort of volatile, and here's another look at, we didn't Tom Brady have the moon in Aries, and I just picked that. I was just picking them out of the thing, but that's interesting too, in the last two, but it's in his 10th house. So, maybe we're going to see, maybe this is where he does his outer stuff, he does, and then when you watch his mannerisms, he's got these really strange, goofy mannerisms like this. That's a strange thing, that he does out there. All right, what else do we got here with Bill? Well, see right here, moon, right on the cusp of this, right there at his, who he is in the world, that's a big deal. So what else do we got here? We've got, nothing is really aspecting it. I mean, Uranus, it's 6 degrees away. It's kind of far. We have this here. This is the interesting one was this conjunction here in the 2nd house, and then the conjunction here in the 5th house. Everything else is kind of out of aspect. So let's see, what else we got? 10, 8 and 10. So we've got a moon Mars opposition. So this is just, this is him temper tantrums, wanting his way. Moon and Mars, they're not the best friends, and being in opposition, you got Mars, the warrior, against the moon, and then the moon in Aries, it's not the best placement for that. It kind of fights with his Cancer rising sign, so he gets mad and pissed off and temper tantrums, and then he comes across real nicey. This is a strange guy. Okay. Looking at aspects close. Anything else close to that? The sun in air. The sun is also in conjunct moon. It's only 3 degrees away. So he's not in sync and lined up with his emotions. His emotions fight him all the time. Okay, we already said these two. Now, how about his 26 degrees rising? Oh, yeah, 26, 37, 28, but that's only the next sign. What else? Anything else? 28 over here. So we've got an exact, what is this, a sextile. So we're looking at 28 Neptune and 28 Pluto. So he was born during this sextile here. He was born at a really interesting time. Forget some of these exacts. I mean, there's not a lot of stuff going on those aspects there, but he's got some really important ones, some really close ones. So a sextile between Pluto, transformation, and Neptune behind the scenes, the veil behind the scenes. He can work behind the scenes. He can transform things behind the scenes. He can build in backdoors in software and affect everything in the software and the world, in a big way with Jupiter there, because it's also conjunct that, that Neptune is conjunct both of these right here. I mean, not sorry, conjunct, I mean, sextile, both of these. These are conjunct, it's making an aspect to both of those. So that's interesting. Those there are important. Those are important, and those with, the, I shouldn't say those, because I don't know if you can see my mouse. Jupiter and Pluto conjunct together. They're right there, 1 degree apart. And then both of those are being a sextile with Neptune. So Neptune is at like behind the scenes, and then when I see it with Pluto, it just kind of, unless you're a highly evolved soul, it's a very good area to take advantage of people, put it that way. Okay, so let me see how we're doing on time. I think we're kind of closing in there. Yep. All right, so again, we looked at the basic shape of the chart. We see that he's behind the scenes. He's definitely works behind the scenes. He's not out there. And then what he is out there with, is his emotional volatility, which is interesting. I should watch. He makes me sick to watch him. I just pick up some icky vibes. Pick up some icky vibes with this guy. So yeah, wrapping him up. So okay, the last things we're doing, we followed our check sheet. We looked at all around at the chart, seeing where everything is at, getting a feel of it. We said he's on the bottom mostly, and then more on the right-hand side. And that's kind of about, again, his stuff. And what else do we see? He's missing a lot of water. He mainly has this water rising, and then he's got no, we said earth. That's right. We said that he doesn't have a lot of earth, but he's got stuff in earth houses. We found, we looked at the emotions. We saw that he's pretty volatile here with the moon in Aries. We looked at mostly his Mercury, and his Mercury, Mars, Neptune, all here in Libra. So he's like back and forth, this and that, us and them, my software and their servers. Like he's thinking on a lot of that. This heavy grouping of Scorpio here, and then this thing with Venus right next to Saturn just never makes me feel good. Venus does not. I mean, this is just creepy. And then both of that, it's what else we got here? We got fixed. It's kind of a wide square, but it's also a square to this stuff. It's, we got both those 2021. It's a little bit wide square, but it's still square to this right here, both of these two things. So without too much going on, okay, we looked at that. We looked at his emotions. We looked at his sun. We looked at how he's rising. We kind of see where he was deficient and stuff. We got a real good flavor of this person. We kind of got an idea of the chart. We see that's more of a fan, but he's got something missing here. True communications, like if we're looking at that fan, we got all this stuff, but there's a missing piece of the fan. The real honest communications. Yeah, because we got this in conjunction to the moon. Anyway, what else? We wrapped him up. All right, so we looked at him. We looked at Micki's in our class. We looked at Tom Brady, and just to kind of get an idea of looking at charts. And I'm going to just stop the share and then show you that sheet one more time, the little check sheet. So just a quick way, look at the sun sign and note, what it is, okay? It's sign and quality. The moon sign, it's quality, an element. Mercury, because then now we got your sun, your basic nature, your emotions, the way you think. Venus is where your interests are. Then if we got an accurate birth time, we'll note your mask to the world, which is your rising sign. If not, just skip that. If you don't know the rising sign, then you can't really do a tally of the planets left, right, so you can skip that because you won't know how that is. The basic shape, you can look at that no matter if you have birth time or not, just the shape. A bowl is a bowl, but if you know the exact birth time, you can get like, oh, it's a bowl on all the bottom, and or the single planets on top, or whatever it is. But if you don't know the birth time, you still got a bowl. It's a bowl, or it's a seesaw, whatever. Do any patterns jump out? Not only those that we just said, like the bowl or the, but I think we saw in Tom Brady's chart, we saw that he had a grand fire trine, and we're like, no, that makes sense, So that kind of jumped out. And then with Bill, we saw those groupings of those, those planets conjunct each other. Remember, conjunctions, everybody else sees it, but him. So everybody hates him, and everybody sees his game and his agenda, and he's like doesn't have a clue. He thinks that his evil plan is just should be bought or should be like accepted. His philanthropist. Oh, I'm just spending all my money and giving it all to you. As he's pushing. Since when does somebody doesn't have any training in medicine have an interest in giving you a vaccine? Okay. I don't want to rag on that too much, but I wanted to take you through this and how you can kind of see through somebody and see through their character by looking also at the chart. So, all right, that being said, I'm going to just stop the share, see if we've got any questions. Chat. All right, did I get to find that? All right, so if nobody has anything else. Yeah, I know, he's creepy dude. You can't even prevent viruses on a software. Why would I trust him in a vaccine? Exactly. I know, exactly. All right. So we could do a whole class on some of these personalities we might get to, but I just really wanted to give you some, readings. We'll see how it is. If anybody wants to do some more, we can look at some more charts and maybe go through some. I think it might be good maybe to do one more round, just kind of a looky see at certain people at certain ways, because it just helps to go through, and then maybe we can do a little bit of a group or whatever. So, all right, that's all I got for today. And I hope this helps, get through, look at charts and assess them. And I guess that's all I had to tell you. All right. Adieu. Till next time, have a good sun and moon. All right, bye-bye.